Welcome back. You're watching NHL Tonight. Red Berenson, one of 5 that will be inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame coming up in December. And you look at the resume, deservingly so. Look at the numbers. 4th all-time in NCAA wins. Just the 4th coach all-time to eclipse 800. Also won a Jack Adams behind the bench in St. Louis in 1980-81. Won 2 NCAA titles and a Stanley Cup. So that resume is certainly filled out. Happy to have Red Berenson joining us on the program right now. First things first, congratulations on the honor. We just saw a snippet of your resume. Where does this one kind of rank for you?
Well, I don't know that you rank these things, but it kind of came out of nowhere. I was surprised, honored, flattered, you name it. But when I think back, when I left Regina to come to Michigan, I never realized what was in store for me. And this whole USA hockey development, me kind of trying to lead the way and for college hockey players, and even for the credibility of college hockey players. I was one of the first to go straight from college to the NHL, and now it's commonplace. And so it's kind of rewarding and flattering and all those things put together.
Red, 33 years behind the bench in Michigan. What made you so successful over those years?
Well, Billy, you know, I chose to come to Michigan as a player, and I really believed in getting an education so you'd have something to fall back on when hockey was over. I didn't know how long hockey would last. Obviously, it's lasted me longer than most, but I felt the same way about our players, and I wanted them to graduate. I wanted them to be respectable citizens when hockey was over, and then I hoped they could live their dream. You know, I was lucky enough to play in the NHL for a long time, but that doesn't always work out, as we all know. And so I've really been emotionally invested in coaching and mentoring the college players that we've had here at Michigan.
33 years, we mentioned it. That's a heck of a run behind the bench for the Big Blue in Michigan. This was your first season in retirement, quote unquote. How tough was it to kind of watch this one from a distance?
You know, surprisingly, it was great. I was part of the committee that picked Mel Pearson to replace me, and Mel had worked for us for 25 years at Michigan, and I knew what we were getting, and Mel's been terrific. So I think it's been really smooth. I just sit back and enjoy the games, and I'm not second guessing. I'm not coaching, but I want to see the players do well, and I want to see the program do well, and I want to see Mel do well.
Red, you won a Stanley Cup as a player. You won a couple national championships as a coach. How would you compare the two?
Boy, Billy, you may not like to hear this, but winning a national championship at Michigan in '96 was far and away more rewarding and exciting for me than winning the Stanley Cup. And I'll tell you why, because when I came here in '84, I thought, well, all we needed was a coach and we would win right away. Well, it didn't work that way, and it took years. And finally, in '96, we got the monkey off our backs. Brendan Morrison scored the winning goal in overtime against Colorado College in Cincinnati, and that was, to me, was wow. Finally, and then our program took off after that. Winning the Stanley Cup was exciting. One of the most rewarding days of my career was we won the Stanley Cup in Montreal. A day or so later, we had the parade, and the next day, I was sitting in class in Michigan to work on my MBA, and that, to me, was my most gratifying day because I knew I could look after myself after hockey was over.
Impressive. A good mindset to have, certainly. You look at the NHL, and it is just scattered with Michigan alums in the league, and there are certainly more talented guys coming down that pipeline. What does that say about the system that's in place in Michigan, not only the past couple of years, but during your tenure there and where it's heading?
Well, I think a big part of that, Jameson, is we've attracted good players. I mean, Dylan Larkin was a good player before he got to Michigan, but after a year at Michigan, he was good enough to make Detroit, and that didn't used to be, but those things are happening now. And Kyle Connor, the same thing. He came in, he was a scoring leader in the U.S. Hockey League. These are both local kids, and he did the same thing here his freshman year, but he played with two of the best players in the country, in JT Compher and Tyler Mott. And so they lit it up and had a terrific year, and that catapulted Kyle into Winnipeg's lineup. And the same thing with Jacob Trouba. These are all Michigan kids that played at Michigan, and they were ready for the next step sooner than anyone thought. So it's not just Michigan. I would say it's college hockey, and it's a development of these young players. Max Pacioretty, another good example. Not long ago, Max came in as an unproven freshman, and was one of our leading scorers and first-round draft pick by Montreal. And I think Max surprised them at how ready he was to play at the next level. So we've been blessed, and I think we're seeing the growth of U.S. hockey as well as college hockey.
Bill Lindsay came close to being a Wolverine, went on a recruiting trip. You scouted him. Can we get the 15-second scouting report from what you remember of the guy sitting to my left?
Well, I really like Billy Lindsay. He would have been he was going to be an NHL player anyway, but it wouldn't have hurt him to come to Michigan for a couple of years. We liked his work ethic. We liked his personality. We liked everything. I liked his mother. His mother was a railroad engineer, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I mean,
Wow.
she was in the middle of a career and a job and trying to raise this young hockey player. But it was a win-win for Billy, and I'm really glad he's done well and good for him. But he would have done well at Michigan, too.
Awesome. Well, today is all about you. Congratulations on the honor. We look forward to seeing you in December at the ceremony, and congratulations. Thank you, Red.
Well, thanks for looking us up today and remembering us. It's always fun looking back.
You bet. Red
And I watch you guys religiously. So
Perfect.
Keep up the good work.
Awesome.
Thank you, Red.
Thank you. Appreciate that.